Good evening. Welcome to the Laughing Monkey Music Show. Today we have Ted on from Death Angel. How you doing?
Hey man, how you doing? I
I'm
think we're
doing
doing
good. How
well.
are you
Yeah.
doing the apocalypse?
Well, there's light at the end of the tunnel, it seems like, just from hearing that people are booking tours, tours are being confirmed, festivals are being confirmed in the US. And, since I'm out in California, from what I heard, it seems like everything's going to open up June 15th. So that's pretty exciting. So we'll see what happens, but it's been a long apocalypse year. Let's say that.
Has the band talked about getting ready at some point to go out and tour? Or you guys got plans that you want to make up dates, or what happened to you guys? Did you get cut on your tour?
Um, the last tour we did was in Europe last year, 2020. It was February into
Right.
March, and that was the last tour. We like to call it the tour that ended all tours. It was 5 weeks. Unfortunately and fortunately, two of the shows got canceled, which is, it sucks to cancel, but at least the whole tour didn't get canceled. And we came home in March 12th. We came home, and
Hmm.
that's when of course the lockdown happened, and all the touring activities for the year was just postponed. So we just been sitting duck, but we've done some stuff. The band, we released an EP called Under Pressure. As Rob and Mark did a cover of Queen's Under Pressure, and we redid a few songs and one original, Faded Remains. We did a live stream Christmas show last December, and we're about ready to do another show this Saturday, May 29th, and just writing music, just taking our time writing music. But as far as touring for this year, no plans as of yet.
Only because some bands having it cut short were like, all right, I've got a bunch of makeup dates coming up now, or I've got, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
The machines are starting to fire up for everybody. So I
yeah.
didn't know.
As of right now, I mean, we were supposed to go to Europe this summer because it got pushed to this summer, but it got pushed again to 2022. So we'll see what happens.
I hear you. Actually, so you've had your own thing you've been doing, your own live stream, podcasty, YouTube thing. Talk about that
Yes,
for a minute.
it's called the live and streaming. It actually started when the height of the beginning of the pandemic. I believe April or May, either sometime April or May. And I just kind of did it for it's something to do. I mean, when you're locked down at home, you could only play guitar for so much. I mean, some people love to play 8 hours a day. I like to do a couple, and I wanted to stay connected with the fans, and I wanted to just basically have a conversation with some of the bands that I like and know, which I consider peers. But at the end of the day, I've been fans of them. I've had the Testament guys. I had Andreas from Sepultura. I had my bandmates. I had Obituary. I had quite a few people. I had Sam Dunn from Banger Films. I wanted to pick his brain since he did the Iron Maiden,
Okay, yeah.
documentary, Rush, and all that. I wanted to pick his brain on all that stuff. So I just basically having fun, something, because I've been into podcasts lately, especially Joe Rogan's. I really love Joe Rogan's podcast, and I kind of want to, instead of like trying to approach it where get nostalgia in a way, like when did you guys start the band, yada yada.
Right.
There's other people that do that and they do it well, and I kind of wanted to approach it differently, maybe ask more fanboy questions, and some questions most journalists don't.
I'm saying to anybody who doesn't know the whole backstory on Death Angel and the change ups, see the documentary, Thrashmentary. What do you guys call it? It's your documentary,
Thrashmentary.
Thrashmentary.
Yeah,
It's
the
excellent.
Thrashmentary.
It brings everything up to date,
Oh, thanks.
and the band does not have to repeat the same story a billion boring times. It's just literally a great
You know what
story.
I mean,
It's succinct.
thank you. Thank you.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I like to. We put out that Thrashmentary, one, for the history of the band, and two, I mean, we've done a lot of press for latest albums, and they still ask about the history. It's just like, can we move on? I mean, go to the website, watch the documentary. It's a great history. Just check it out. Then we like to stay current.
Together, it's a really good job.
Thank you. It was actually a friend of ours, Tommy Jones, who put that together. He traveled around the world with us, and at first we were like, Man, it's a long documentary, but if we're gonna do one, we might as well. We don't want to do another one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, I thought the same thing. I'm like, wow, it's long. And I'm like, you know what?
Yeah,
Is it like a Joe Rogan podcast? It can go 3 hours or it can
exactly.
go an hour and a half, and you'll still have 14,000 people watch it. So clearly, people will watch if the content's there and it's
Yeah,
enjoyable, or they can break it up. You know what I mean? There's no rules now.
there's no rules. No, not at all. I mean, if the like you said, if the content's really good, it all depends on who watches it. If it could be long if you're not into heavy metal or that genre, but I think we did it tastefully where people who don't listen to
Mhm.
heavy metal could kind of relate and check it out.
The pace was cut well between like the concert footage, the personal footage, a little history. There's some personal backstory to it a little bit. It's nice the way it's done like that. So I'm glad it's out there. I enjoyed watching it again, second time. I rewatched it before I spoke with you. A little refresher.
I haven't watched it since it was released.
Well, it's gotta be weird to see yourself. I always think it's weird when you see yourself
It is for
in
me.
retrospect.
It
I
is.
think it's for most people.
Well, especially when you put a lot of work into it, you're helping with the edits and you're seeing revisions and revisions and all that time. When it's finally done, you're like, I'm done. It's up for everyone to watch it now.
I get it. You also have a guitar line. You've had it for a couple of years, and it's changed. Your guitars have changed a little bit over the years too. That some of the designs have changed up a little bit.
Yeah, with ESP, my first signature
Yeah.
guitar was their Eclipse model, and it's all white. I have a thing for
Mhm.
all white. It looks sexy and metal and not metal at the same time. So
Yeah.
the first one was an Eclipse model, and the second one we did was a Telecaster shape with a
Yeah.
reverse headstock, all white again. Again, I like all white, and I have a Mesa Boogie white heads, white cabinets. So it's very non-metal, but it stands out, and I like it. It's like clean. You know, that's just my thing.
I like I like white too. I like the newest model you have because it does have a tele, but it has the plate on it.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Oh
like
well,
that. That actually makes all the difference in the world to me. So your newest
thanks.
model is probably the best one for me. The other ones are cool looking, but that plate just I'm like, all right, that I could do. I like.
Yeah, I like it. It's at first I wanted, everyone's always doing all black. Everyone's doing crazy colors, blood splattered. Nothing wrong with that. If they like it, they like it. But there's very, very few people, especially in the metal world, that does all white. Matt Hafey has an all white
Mhm.
Epiphone. Of course, Buckethead. Um,
Yeah.
Joe from Gojira, I believe,
Yep.
does all white. So, and I do all white. So why not? It's nice
It,
looking.
it, it, it's nice. What are the specs on that guitar?
Mahogany body, EMG 81 on the bridge and 60 on the neck, and that's pretty much it. Simple. I totally forgot what the neck is. What kind of wood, but it's based off my actual ESP Japan shop custom that I had, and
Mhm.
they liked it so much they thought it was cool. I sent that back to get it repaired at ESP, and they shipped it back. And all of a sudden they called me and go, "Hey, we have your prototype." I go, "What prototype are you talking about?" "Oh, we forgot to tell you. We love that custom guitar, that Eclipse that we built for you. We thought it'd be a good signature line." I go, "Okay, nice, thanks." Mesa Boogie Mark V. I've always been a fan of Mesa Boogie in the early days. Because, I mean, Metallica uses them. That's my band right there. I mean,
Yeah.
they're the kings of crunch. But back in the '80s, Mesa Boogie was so expensive, especially for a young cat like me, that a lot of people who couldn't afford it and was playing in metal bands, they would. Fortunately, the JCM 800s were easy to purchase used. So there was a guy here in the Bay Area who would mod your 800 to get that Bay Area crunch. So people would do it. They get an 800 for like $300 and get it modded for 100. So you got $400 of a JCM 800 modded with an extra gain stage, and it sounded so good. That was the alternative to Mesa Boogie. As soon as I, got older and was able to afford a Mesa Boogie, my first one was a Mark IV. Bought it in 1994. And I've always been a fan of the boogies, the Mark series especially. They just sound so open and round, and has a good crunch to it. And back then I used to always drop all my mids, swoop it. Nope, no mids whatsoever. But now I like playing with mids, and I play a Mark V now because of the Mark II C plus mode. Those are hard to come by, the original Mark II C plus, and I always wanted one. Hard to find, or they're too expensive. And Mark V Mesa Boogie made a Mark V with a 2C plus mode. Swooped up four of them.
Actually, let's go back. Just a little change. Did you have to change anything to fit in with the band's sound? Did you have to make any adjustments yourself, or do you get to keep your sound and make it part of the band?
Well, I used to, like I said, I used to scoop all my mids, and Rob is a very mid-heavy guy, so I kind of like had to adjust a little bit just to complement his tone. He's the more dominant tone.
Yeah.
So I had to figure it out, and to close to a point where it was a happy medium. We came in the middle. So it's got to complement. You can't just go, this is my sound, hell with you. It's got to work together. No. Since his is the dominant sound, it's more, I kind of put more mids and less gain, and I just use my hand as the attack.
Okay. Well, yeah, it's always a good question, like especially with two guitars. So then like someone comes in that's newer to the band at the time or less established. It's like when the guys come in, they take a position in Judas Priest. You know what I mean? You get KK sounds. You get, because there's songs that are established and they're in that range and they're built a certain way.
Yeah.
It's not making you a different person. It's just there's still certain songs that have certain sounds, and
yeah, you got to adjust to the sound of the band. But that's what the band sounds like. You adjust, but but add your own little flavor. You could adjust, like, I like this, I need more of this to match that, and you just gotta go with it. It's a team thing, team effort thing.
As you get older and you're playing, and your riffs are very technical, and they've continued to progress to get technical, the music, is it getting more challenging as you get older?
More challenging, yes, I think so. It's funny how the older, especially since Rob writes all the music, the older he's getting, the better he's getting, but it's getting a lot harder to play. Like, was it the last interview, one of the last interviews I did for the latest record, I was like, yeah, Rob writes songs that are hard to play standing up. Because it is, getting more technical. Like, it's funny, like I listened to the latest record, and when you listen to like the record that we came back when the band reformed, the evolution is intense, and I think it's great. I mean, Rob just excels. His playing has just gotten way better, and solos and the riffs, it's just like, dude, that's some hard riffs to play, but it's good. You challenge yourself, you don't want,
but as you get older, your body changes, or on stage until you're standing and then you're sweating and you're trying to hold your guitar. I notice like a lot of drummers have the same problem. As they get older, can't, it gets harder for them, challenging as they get older. I mean, Metallica's still doing it. So they set the bar for everybody, right? How can you be like, oh,
love them or hate them, they won.
I love them.
I do too.
I don't hold them. I give them props for doing the other stuff. I actually have a soft spot for Saint Anger, not for Lulu. It's just not my thing. But I respect them for trying to be creative as an artist, because you're an artist and you want to do something different.
Yeah, I agree with you right there.
James is down picking is crazy. Kurt is still shredding away. They're doing awesome. But then it leaves for a lot of the other bands like you guys, to keep following up, keep going, because and it's an intense music, hardcore or thrash, or I don't know what people are calling it nowadays. I just,
there's so many genres of metal, it's hard to keep up. I just call it metal.
Yeah. Are you writing anything of yourself? Do you write any of your own music, like for you, or anything on the side?
Actually, I have a ton of ideas. I just have to put them together. It's just one of those. I'll have an idea, record it. But I got to set aside some time just to go through everything and try to put something together. Whether it be for Death Angel or something else, I don't know. I have to wait till I put it all together to figure it out.
I always wonder, like some bands coming off, like at first it's hard, and then they're like, I kind of like this. When they go, and then they're like, but I got to go back on the road. How's it going to change for some people? Like, how many bands are going to be on the road as much? How many members are going to stay with bands? I'm wondering what's going to happen.
That's a good one. We don't know. We won't know until we go out there. I mean, I know some bands are skeptical. Some fans are skeptical going out to shows, and some are not. We're just gonna have to see how that first tour does and see where it goes.
Yeah.
That's all we could do.
Well, I don't even mean just this touring. I'm just mean members staying in a band being like, you know what? I really like being at home and then being on the road for 2 months. They're like, you know what? That's what I mean. I mean, you've done the same thing for your whole life. This, you get up, you do this, you do record, you do a cycle, but you're always gunning towards the tour, But if there's no tour and you go a whole year without it, else, you're like, you find a whole new life. You get a whole new thing that you didn't have before, and relationships change.
That's true. Or you could look at it this way, where you could kind of blend the two worlds together. Like, you've been at home for a while, just say, hey man, if we're going to tour, let's do one real good tour and come home, write music. We don't have to be out on the road all that time. Because now, it was to the point where bands are putting out albums 3 years because the only way to make money is to tour. So hopefully, with people, during this whole pandemic, people with their Patreons, their Twitches, or they found other ways to make money where, they could balance both. Let's do one good tour, come home, do my online thing, go back out on the road, and let's write a record. I guess you got to find a way to try to make both worlds.
And where you're kind of lucky on some level where the age group is wide, older to younger. So you have a bigger, deeper pocket of audience that, you could feel the situation out too. You don't want to oversaturate yourself either, because sometimes I know a lot of bands play out so much. People are like, I'll see them next time. They'll be here in 4 months.
Yeah.
And then the band's playing out to nobody. And you're living on the road for no reason.
Well, another thing too is like, in this time of, the landscape of music nowadays, back in the 80s, the only place you could tour is either North America or Europe, not even Eastern Europe at that. But now the whole world is open with the internet, with your music being reached across the world. I mean, you could go to Asia, Southeast Asia, Australia, South America, Africa, India. You could go to all these places, so you just keep going. Back then, it was just like, put an album out, tour the US and Europe, come home, write another record.
Yeah, it was hard, and you were a slave to the record label and owing money. And now you can put out your own stuff, you can promote yourself.
Yeah.
A lot of bands are just not even doing that. That now they're just doing their own media because they don't need it.
Yeah. You still kind of do need a label, because labels still have the ins with radio, or because they have that long relationships with radios. And Europe, physical copies are still big. People still use physical copies. Japan too. So it's trying to find the right partnership with a record label. That would work.
Yeah, Japan is still pushing for the extra 2 songs.
They still have Tower Records.
Do they? And the thing is, I'm like, we can just, once it goes up on one site, those 2 extra songs are going to be everywhere anyhow. It's not like like it's a special thing anymore. It's not like we go, because you're not going to find an import store around here lately, in America.
No.
So you're not going to get the bonus Iron Maiden with the 2 tracks that you couldn't find somewhere, because that was special.
It was.
One of the last important things I actually want to talk about is you have a show on Saturday that I want people to check you guys out, man.
Oh, thanks, man. This Saturday, May 29th, it's a set of deep cuts and songs we don't play, or rarely played, or never played at all. We call it the Bastard Track Show, but we hardly say that, because with a lot of social platforms, they'll flag your post if the word bastards in it. So we just say we're doing a show. We're doing a show with deep cuts and B-sides and songs we rarely, hardly, or never played. And we wanted to do something like that because, we barely get to do these type of songs on tour, because, there's quite a few reasons. Like, sometimes when you're on a support act, you only get like 45 minutes.
Yep.
And you want to play the best songs and try to represent the best songs from each album that people know, and plus with a new album, you want to focus on your new stuff. We're not that type of band that puts out a new album and plays one song. We want to play as much as we can. And the downside of that is all the other songs get, all right, we don't get to play one song from this album, one song from that album, So, I mean, it was really cool to look back at some of these songs that we never, hardly, or rarely play. And it was fun, especially during the pandemic. We were able to get together and just play songs, like relearning them and go, whoa, this is a trip, man. This is actually a pretty cool tune, and and it's inspiration to write the next record as well.
It's awesome. I think it's a really great idea, and I hope some of these ideas are carryovers once the world changes again and people are touring again in these little special events. You know what I'm saying? Because you're right; these are songs you can't normally play live, or you got people that want to hear, bored, or they want to hear, which are fine. I mean, I like them too, but just so many good songs,
Yeah.
off the last couple albums that just shred.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, doing this has been a challenge. It's been fun. It's been, inspirational. It's also been good to reconnect with the band instead of just playing the same set. Or like, always preparing for a tour. This is a set. Okay, cool. Now just having a whole new different set is like, all right, this is fun. And also the show, we're also doing it different than a lot of streams that's been happening, because I've been watching a lot of streams out there from other bands, and it's great. I love them, and I show the support. You got to support bands or support the industry that you're in.
Yeah.
It's more of a storytelling thing. Like, we're going to play these songs, and there's going to be interviews about the songs. There's stories behind them, that people don't know about, that we're talking about. And especially with the older songs, and Mark and Rob talk about songs from back then, you'll hear some stories like, oh, I didn't know about that. So we're trying to
love that.
Yeah, we're trying to take this storyteller's vibe approach, but in our own way. You know what I'm saying?
That's excellent. I mean, I expect it to be great, because obviously the way you guys put out things like the documentary stuff, you guys have an eye for putting it out in a certain way you want it, whether, what the intent was.
Not only that, I mean, we put it's I'll let it out there. We spent a lot of money on this, but I think it's going to be cool. We just wanted to not only do the songs, I think it's great, but give a good experience to people who come and watch it, because watching a stream and watching a live show are two different things. So if we're going to do a stream, let's just put everything we have into it as much as we can, and just make it as enjoyable and pleasurable as possible.
Well, it's also going to be your legacy.
Yeah.
You're not just spending a lot of money, you're actually investing in the name of your band.
Exactly.
Because there's been a couple of streams I too have listened to, and some of the streams, especially because you listen to them, depends on your media device. What's your earbuds or your headphones? I have some really expensive headphones I usually wear when I listen to stuff, or you're on a computer, or so some people put the time and the money into where your production sounds good, and some people it just sounds like you're in a tin can, no matter how you play it.
Yeah, I get it. Some people want it the cost-effective way as possible. I get that, but with this one, it's just like it's like putting out a record. You got to put everything you can in a record, because once it's out, you can't take it back. It's in the history books. You get what I mean? It's in the heavy metal.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and I get that, and your band's got its own legacy on some level.
If I may add, Stefan Shirazi interviewed us for this one. I don't know if you know who he is. He's actually he works with Metallica. He works for the Met Club. He's the one that interviews Metallica for the Met Club fanzine, the magazine. Cool. And he used to be an editor for Kerrang, Rip magazine, Sounds out of England, all that stuff. Very well-known journalist, and to capture that vibe, it's pretty good. I think everyone's going to be happy about it.
So how can people see it? Where, when?
Well, it's this Saturday, May 29th, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard. But everything's on our website, www.deathangelus. All the ticket links, all the info, just go there. And we got some special merch for the show. So. Oh,
you do? Yeah. Yes. Let's take a minute. Let's talk about the website too. It's a good website, and some bands, websites are either, I feel like it's all or nothing. It's like the way people take care of their yards or their lawns. Either they do it or they do a really good job. It's exciting that you got more merch coming. For this too.
Speaking about the website, you're gonna have to give my wife credit for that. She built it.
Oh, well, that's good. That's awesome. She did a good job, and that's the whole point. It is a good website, and I noticed that. I do pay attention to stuff like that. That there's some websites, and you do what you can with your resources. Some people don't have the money, or they know the right people, and you just get something up there. And that's back in the days, just like you make your own cassettes, and you're printing your own flyers. It's still the same thing. It doesn't take away the music for me. Well, I want to thank you for being on the show. I know it's a short show, but I want to people go out and watch the show on Saturday. Go to the website, get the merch, support the band. Hopefully they'll be playing soon.
We hope.
Hopefully, maybe start working on an album.
Yeah.
But there's enough stuff out there right now that they've got that you can go to and check out. And so let's start with the live stream.
Cool, man.
All right, man. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, man. Take it easy.
All right, take care. Okay.